Hey, everybody. How's it going? We're live.
Whoa.
Welcome to the Ben Joravsky Show for your Tuesday, March 9th. It's just moments away. But before we do this, let's thank our sponsors for sponsoring the show. Sponsors like SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, the Chicago Federation of Labor are sponsors, as well as the Chicago Reader, chicagoreader.com, for all things there is to know the city of Chicago, where to go, what to do, what to eat, how to think politically. So many questions will be answered if you go to chicagoreader.com. Subscribe. Also, become a bin head. That's what we call avid fans of our program. Are you a bin head? No? Well, become one. chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, J-O-R-A-V as in victory, S-K-Y. Find out how you can help the Ben Joravsky Show. Subscribe, become a bin head, and rumor has it, when you become a bin head, you will get a deal on the brand new book from our very own Ben Joravsky. It's true. Ben Joravsky has a book out. It's his greatest hits from over 40 years of journalism with the Chicago Reader. Boy, it's a thick read, but it's a good read. The Joravsky's Greatest Hits, chicagoreader.com/Jorav as in victory, S-K-Y. How you feeling today, Ben?
Feeling pretty groovy, man.
Oh, groovy. Interesting.
Feeling groovy, but I think I must smash the fourth wall.
Okay.
By the way, no more sound effects after that. You sent me that great email, which I read, and now I can't find it. So I'm just going to have to, what's the word? Paraphrase it from memory when we get to that. If something happened to the email you sent me, it's no longer on my phone.
Interesting.
That's what I was doing, like frantically. Where did this thing go?
All right. Well, you do have a song of the day. It is from Frank. It is Bang a Gong, Get It On by T-Rex.
Not a fan of this song, Frank. No. I must confess. I remember when it was popular back in, I want to say 1971. I found it exceedingly annoying. And every now and then I hear it on the oldies radio. Bang a gong, get on. That's how the song goes.
Oh, that was it. Oh, okay.
Bang a gong, get it on. Wow, wow, wow.
All right. The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. It is Tuesday, March 9th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, we're talking General Iron with Oscar Sanchez. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Yeah, hello everybody, Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this MAGA Returns Tuesday. And here's why. Great weekend. You have a great weekend, T? Wait a minute. I heard it from a little birdie, chirp, 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 that someone went to Red Lobster this weekend. Could that someone have been you?
Yeah, that was me. I went to Red Lobster this weekend. It was great. Fantastic.
And while you were at Red Lobster, were you singing Red Lobster for the seafood lover and you?
No, believe it or not, was not singing that song that you've been singing all day ever since I told you that I went to Red Lobster.
Dennis told me this. I said, D, what'd you do this weekend? He goes, I went to Red Lobster, and then boom, into my head came that song, and it's been in there ever since. And Frank, no, Bang a Gong cannot drive it out of my mind. I have a quick question, D. I've asked you this before, but so I've not been to a restaurant since the week. Oh my goodness, February. It was in 2020. So everybody properly distance at restaurants these days? Like do they have vacant tables?
Oh yeah. Everyone was spaced out. We all had masks. Then when it was time to eat that lobster, boy, get this mask off me.
Well, my time will come, ladies and gentlemen. I will be at Red Lobster too. I'm not going until I get that vaccine. Sorry, I'm an old guy. This virus could be lethal to me. Anyway, I had a great weekend too. I watched Serial Mom. I want to thank Frank for the recommendations.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
I love
Did you
Serial. Oh, I used to watch Serial Mom all the time. It was always on Cinemax. Great movie.
I saw it. Well, you know what's funny? I saw it back. Oh, this is how old I am. I actually saw it when it came out in 1993. But I just had a vague memory of it, and Frank mentioned it in a text. So I said, you know what? I'll check it out from Netflix. And dude, it's hard to explain how good it is. John Waters is a freaking genius. He's so subversive. He's so snarky. He's such a wise ass, but he really just shows what frauds we all are with this like little suburban exterior that people have. And Kathleen Turner, Sam Waterston, Patty Hearst, excellent flick. I urge everybody to go run and find it wherever you can and watch it. I know I'm recommending a movie from the early days of the Clinton administration. Anyway, woke up to realize I had not been vigilant. Let me explain. I've been doing a lot of local stories lately for the Reader. Been writing columns about TIFs and the city's budget games. And then the one I just recently did about General Iron moving to the south side from the north side. If you're out of town, we're going to take the deep dive in this. We're going to explain how Chicago works, folks. You got some noisy, obnoxious metal processing, shredding operation, and powerful real estate interest says it's too loud, it's too noisy, we need to get rid of it because we want this area to make even more money developing. I know, let's move it to the south side. Anyways, I've been obsessed with local issues. I hadn't been paying attention to MAGA. And so I woke up this morning and what did I see looking into my window? The MAGA monster. The MAGA monster returns, ladies and gentlemen. MAGA lost the election. Donald Trump's forces in the Republican Party, now known as MAGA, they lost the election. Then they denied they lost the election. Then fired themselves up around the notion that somehow or other Trump won when he lost. But then, just to make sure that they didn't lose any more elections that they were denying they lost, they started passing laws in states all over the country to deter black people from voting. Yes, that's MAGA's main takeaway from the 2020 presidential race. Not that they had a lousy messenger, a frightening messenger, I would say, and that they lost by over 7 million votes. No. Their message is, if we can just keep black people from voting, we will win and we will rule and we will crush unions and destroy the environment and send women to back alleys for abortions and put gay people back in the closet and give tax giveaways to the rich. MAGA's funny in this way. They shine a spotlight on any black person who supports them, and then they work overtime to make sure that the vast majority of black people cannot vote. Specifically in the state of Georgia, which, as I know you all know, went for Biden and then elected two Democratic senators to tip the Senate to the Dems. Georgia's about to pass a bill that's clearly intended to keep black people from voting. One of the most bizarre bills I've ever seen. The provisions in this bill, one of the provisions is trying to undercut the effort by black churches to organize their congregation to vote. Many black churches had Souls to Polls Sundays where people would go to church and then go vote together, early voting. The new law would limit Souls to Polls to one Sunday a month. Why? No real reason other than it might deter black people from voting. Can you imagine if the Dems had proposed a bill that would in any way make it more difficult for white evangelicals to vote? Oh my God, they'd be howling in the rafters about how anti-religious the Dems are. Take the Christmas out of Christmas. But if it's black churchgoers, different story. They also are going to limit the number of drop boxes on the grounds that would deter people from voting. I mean, it's like some voter will say, wait, you mean I have to walk like or drive an extra 3 miles to drop off my ballot? Oh, that's it. I'm not voting. And then this is the weirdest one. They're preventing people from offering water and snacks to folks waiting in line to vote. I thought I read, what? possible explanation could they have for passing a law that makes it illegal to give somebody waiting in line a bottle of water? And their reason, it's intended to keep people from bribing voters to vote for their candidates. I'm like, wait a minute, MAGA. You think that black voters in Georgia voted for Biden over Trump because someone gave them a bottle of water? Like, Donald Trump didn't do most of the dirty work to lose black votes himself? The Republican Party is insane, people, but they play to win. And to win, they will do whatever it takes. The MAGA monster has returned. We got a great show today, everybody. Oscar Sanchez will be here. He's not a MAGA monster, and he's not afraid of MAGA. He's one of the General Iron activists. He was a hunger striker. He was one of the activists who rallied around the cause of keeping General Iron from moving from the north side to the south side. We'll explain what it's all about. It's an intricate story about politics, economic development, how Mayor Rahm acts. Yeah, this all went down. This all started with Mayor Rahm. And how Lori Lightfoot's not exactly the most vigilant mayor when it comes to protecting environmental issues on the southeast side. Anyway, plenty of conversation with Oscar Sanchez, one of the General Iron activists. But before we do that, the young man from home, the man that Oscar Sanchez and Lori Lightfoot agree is called Dr. D with the news.
How's it going, everybody? Doogie on the live stream chat. Cereal Mom. It's not about the breakfast food cereal. It's SERIAL. Cereal Mom. So
yes,
just to clarify there.
As in serial killer.
Yeah, as in serial killer. Mm-hmm. All right, my name's Dennis. Before we go any further, Ben, we have voicemails to play. It's true. It's true. You can call the binge. What?
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you?
Oh my God. We're still talking about Red Lobster, huh? It's true. You can call the Ben Jarofsky Show, 708-658-4788. That number again is 708-658-4788. We love playing voicemails here on the program, all right? We've been getting quite a few lately, and that is awesome. Let's keep that trend going. Leave the Ben Jarofsky Show a voicemail. You can prank call us. It's fine. We may not play it. We may. I don't know. Just leave us a voicemail. We would love to hear from you. 708-658-4788. All right, let's play the voicemails that we received over the weekend. Our first voicemail comes from a fella named Matt. We haven't heard from Matt in a while. Kind of a funny guy. So let's hear from Matt. Thank you, Matt, for reaching out to us. I guess he's upset with Texas. So let's hear Matt.
What are we going to do with Texas? Honestly, what are we going to do with Texas? I mean, they're releasing they're dropping mask mandates. Next thing you know, Florida's going to be doing it because, let's be honest, Florida is the butt crack of America. Not the armpit, the butt crack. I like to think of what Dusty Rhodes would say in this situation. He's talking about the common man. Well, the common man is tired of politicians making stupid mistakes. And yes, we just did pass Corona relief. But the fact that it took so long is ridiculous. Why do we keep putting these people in office? Please, Dennis. Please, Ben. Tell me. This has been your friendly neighborhood transforming man. And I hope you guys have a great day. And thanks.
Thank you very much, Matt.
I'm with you there, Matt. The state of Texas, very bizarre state. We've talked a lot about Texas on the show recently. When their freak winter weather they got to put the state without electricity, without water, and then they blame the whole thing on the Green New Deal. It's the Republicans who rule Texas are so ideological and so dedicated to a certain ideology that they won't bend in any practical way. And this is one of my favorite themes. You know, the inability of the Republicans to make any kind of concession whatsoever has led me to conclude that it's not even worth your while to try to reach an accord with them. We were talking about this with David Ferris. We had a lengthy conversation with David Ferris, political science professor, one of our favorite guests was on the show. We dropped it this weekend. And it's just in the aftermath of the Senate. I think it just passed when we had our conversation, the bailout, the stimulus bill, and not one Republican vote. Not one Republican vote. And Biden's moving to the center to appease Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema from Arizona, the two, Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, two Democratic senators who are centrist, moving to the center to appease them. And not one Republican is accepting that peace offering, if you will, from Joe Biden. So, Matt, they're absolutely cannot depend on them. They see strategically, this has been the way, this has been the fact since Obamacare, that their best political strategy is to battle Democrats no matter what the issue is. You rally their base in opposition to the Democrats, and then take advantage of the benefits that the Democrats pass on your behalf, and then use those benefits against them in a coming election. It's one of the most cynical games I've seen in a long time, and I'm with you. There's really nothing you do. Oh boy, Abbott was the governor of Texas. So bizarre. The image has been going all over the internet. Apparently, he takes very seriously the threat of the virus. So he has this press conference where he announces that all mask requirements are gone. There's no need to have mask requirements anymore. And then when it's over, he puts his mask on. It's so weird. It's like the reverse of Gavin Newsom in California, the Democrat who says we must be vigilant, we must close restaurants, we must wear masks. And then he goes and has a party at the French Laundry. Nobody's wearing a mask. They're all sitting around a table together. It's the opposite of that. It's a freaking no wonder this country is incapable of dealing with COVID. We're all insane. Anyway, thank you for that message, Matt.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt. Be like Matt. Reach the Ben Joravsky Show, 708-658-4788. Well, we had another listener reach out to us, and, well, Ben, we have some sad news from Doogie on the live stream chat. Yes. Breaks the sad news to us. Is that water good, by the way?
Yeah, it's delicious.
All right.
It's absolutely good. You want some?
No, not at all.
This would be like Cereal Mom. Remember the one John Waters did, where you could like smell it? There were smells in the movie theater. Anyway, virtual drink the water.
Hey, here's Doogie.
Hello. Absolutely heartbreaking news. Old Country Buffet, the parent company of Old Country Buffet, Hometown Buffet, Ryan's Buffet, and a place called Furs.
He loves buffets.
And no, it's not Meek. The parent company has officially shut down the whole entire brand and chain. There is no more buffet. R.I.P. to OCB, 1983 to 2021. That is devastating.
We have a heartbroken listener today, Ben.
I kind of share his heartbreak. I think I must have mentioned this a few times in the show, D, without remembering it. You know, been in the attic a long time. I'm starting to forget the things I've mentioned. Huge fan of Country Buffet back in the day. I get so excited. Oh, Country Buffet. Love the chicken. Just like, and the macaroni and cheese. Oh man, it's kind of hard to really when you go to one of those buffets, it's like, you got to really pace yourself, but not me. I have this fear that it'll shut down. So I really unfounded fear. Anyway, it's probably for the best. It's gone out of business, D, because it wasn't healthy for me. I would eat so much of the macaroni and cheese. Oh, this macaroni and cheese is delicious. It's not good for me, D. Not good for my health. Country Buffet.
Doogie,
rest in peace.
We're very sorry for your loss, Doogie.
And me too.
Yes, you can call the Ben Joravsky Show, and there is a good chance we will play your voicemail. Oh, pencils. There's a good chance we will play your voicemail just like we did from Doogie, and also, who's that other one from again?
Matt.
Matt, yes, Matt. Be like those
Man.
guys. Call us up, 708-658. What's that?
Said you're too young to be so forgetful.
Oh, yeah. Listen to all the other stuff I remembered before the show. Plug the book. Come a Ben head. Come on. All right. So call the Ben Joravsky Show. We would love to hear from you. That would be great. All right. Great. Local news. Let's do it. Let's find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon. We begin in Illinois, and we begin with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
The enemy is you.
How rude. Today, the governor was at the United Center, and Ben, no, he wasn't there to play basketball. Wasn't there to play hockey either. He was there for an update on the United Center now being a mass COVID-19 vaccination site. I have some audio from J.B. Pritzker. Like to hear it? Here it go.
That we're going to be in this for months. And we don't know how long the vaccines last. We don't know if when you're vaccinated, will you have to get vaccinated once a year, or will it be once every 2 years, or perhaps a shorter period of time? We still don't know that. We need to continue to have testing all across the state.
Well, that wasn't too promising, was it?
No, sounds pretty bleak. Do you have any more?
Well, we have a funny
GB.
moment. Well, anything you'd like to say there? We do have a funny moment to play from the press conference, but
Well, the frustration I've been experiencing over the United States. I was very excited about the United Center vaccinations because I viewed it as my turn. Okay, for some reason, my insurance, my hospital doesn't do. I don't know. They don't do vaccines. They do them, but somehow or other they don't. I've not been sent an email. Walgreens, negatory, But the United Center responded. They gave me an appointment at the end of the month. I was so excited. Finally, I'm going back. The first of two. The second one comes in. I'll be ready to rock and roll. I'm going to go to a restaurant. And then I got these emails over the weekend. It was so weird. We're going to have to change your appointment from 9:30 to 3 o'clock. Okay, all right. I don't know why, but okay. And then about an hour later, I get an email, same outfits from the United Center saying, disregard the previous message about changing your appointment. So I'm like, what do I do now? And it's not like you can call somebody. You know what I'm saying? There may be like a 1-800 number, which is just 1-800-HELL. We just sit on hold for like 2 hours. So it's like, I'm just going to show up at 9 o'clock, whatever. I'll probably be there all day. Hey, maybe we should do the show as a remote from the United Center. Can you imagine that? In the parking? It's not even in the United Center. It's the parking lot. Anyway, very frustrated. I do not and will never understand why our country, I do understand capitalism and the idiocy of the Trump administration. I do understand, but what I won't understand is why we tolerate it, why we've made such a mess out of such a basic obligation. And D, you know what? Most people I talk to, they don't see it the way I do. Like, if you got the vaccine, it's almost like you feel compelled to defend the system. Like the guy who doesn't have the vaccine did something wrong. Well, I got the vaccine. What's your problem? That's that attitude. It's like a very Chicago attitude. Apparently, it's pervasive. And then I said, I'll have this discussion with my friends. I'm like, who are liberals? And I'll be like, well, what we should do is nationalize the whole thing and work around the clock to make sure absolutely everyone gets the vaccine right now. Like, why put it out in dribs and drabs? And then all my friends will turn into lawyers. Well, that would be a violation of the law. You can't do it. You would have to pass a law. Oh my God. They're just passing a law in Georgia right now that makes it illegal to give somebody a bottle of water if they're waiting in line to vote. One of the most bizarre laws ever. And yet, pass a law to make sure that everyone gets a vaccine? I can't do that. The weird stuff that we put up with this country, people. I don't get it. You know, D, it's like I'm starting to think I'm too hard on Chicago, because all these years I've been writing about Chicago and the foolishness of the Chicago voters and how they put up with all the corruption and all the ineptitude and the inability of their government to function in an open and transparent way. They put up with it. They tolerate it. And I acted as though it was only Chicago. Now I'm realizing it's the entire country. So anyway, D, yeah, I'm a little frustrated. I know JB's happy. He's at the United Center. You know, he got his vaccine, right? The rest of us, we're in a boat. There's a hole in the boat, and it's sinking. But don't worry. If you could just bail out the water long enough, you'll get your vaccine.
When's that appointment for you to get it again?
It's a Monday. I had it on a Monday. Made it on a Monday because they didn't want to interrupt the show. How about that, D? Am I looking out for the show or what? So it's the last Monday of March. I think it's March 29th.
Oh,
yeah.
That's my mom's birthday.
You know what? Good things happen on that day.
March 29th. All right. Frank weighed in on the live stream chat. He says, I'm getting vaccinated Friday on March 19th. Oh, well, rub it in, Frank.
That's what I'm saying. Proves my point.
No one likes a braggart, Frank.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for you, Frank. I'm happy for everyone who had vaccinated. Don't get it wrong. I'm not hating on the people who got vaccinated, okay? It's just like, you guys don't have to rub it in my face. Like, I got vaccinated. I'm feeling really good, man. I got vaccinated so long ago, my arm doesn't hurt anymore. That's the other thing I'm really afraid of. Everybody tells me your arm really hurts. I don't know if you've heard this, but the arm really hurts. I'm like, oh my God, my arm's going to hurt. So, but you know what? I'm going to do that show on Tuesday. Oh, yeah. You watch it here. I'm
brave
like,
soul.
The Iron Man of podcasts.
Hey, here's something silly.
It's almost been a year since the flag has been at half staff. And, you know, when we were kids, we didn't have cell phones, the internet. We would know if somebody significant passed away when the flag was lowered. Yeah. When are you going to be raising it? Because now, you know, we had 5 COVID deaths in the entire state yesterday, with its good news. Our positivity rate is below 3%. Yeah. What's the metrics that you're using in order to raise the flag?
Well, let's start with I didn't realize you were old enough that you can remember a time before cell phones. So that's helpful for me to be able to measure my own age against.
He's got jokes, guys.
Wait, who? You got to give JB credit, man. You know how I feel. I'm loving JB these days, D. You know that, right? You know. It's like everybody hates him. I love you, JB. I'm with you. Okay. Yeah, I didn't vote for you. Don't hold it against me. But I'm with you. Everybody loves Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. I love the mayor. Ben, can't you jump on the bandwagon?
He was sounding like you a little bit there.
JB's been listening to the show. You know, his favorite part of the show is when you do the bottle thing, breaking news. He's like, hold it. I love it when he does the bottle. And he also loves it when you go to the newsroom. I didn't tell you this. JB loves the newsroom. Okay.
Really?
Yes, he goes there. But wait, who? Help me out here. Who was asking the question?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Yes. Let's raise the flag.
Governor, anything you'd like to say?
The enemy is you.
Oh, okay. Ben, you said he was a fan. That doesn't sound like a fan.
Yeah, I think it's the collective you, like everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. But we've been playing that bit for so long, I don't know where it's from. It's sort of like the Lori Lightfoot thing. I will take your car. I have no idea what she was saying.
All right, so now on to what happened Monday. The governor signed a new bill into law. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Rachel Hinton. From early childhood through college years, all Illinois students will be able to receive what state legislators promise will be a more fair and inclusive education after Governor J.B. Pritzker on Monday signed a, quote, bedrock pillar of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus agenda. The governor said the bill, quote, really does raise up our children everywhere in the state and advances equity in a way that we can all be proud. Dubbed the Education and Workforce Equity Act, it includes expanding access to the state's early intervention program, adds some graduation requirements in computer literacy. A foreign language or laboratory science expands the required Black history coursework to include the pre-enslavement of Black people and establishes a 22-person inclusive American History Commission.
Well, I'm all for the passage of the bill. I would have voted for it enthusiastically, and thank you, Governor Pritzker, for signing it. At the risk of sounding like a Debbie Downer.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, this bill is coming. This bill is happening at the same time that the state is not contributing the $350 million to education funding that we thought was required by law when they passed the bill back in 2018, or was that 2018? I think it was the summer before Bruce Rauner ran against J.B. Pritzker, and we're not passing and not spending that money because we don't have the money, and we don't have that money because the fair tax was defeated, so we couldn't raise taxes on the wealthiest people, and there's less money coming into the state coffers because of the pandemic. Fewer people are working, so maybe there'll be some relief coming from the federal government that'll enable us to make these contributions, as thanks to the Democrats in the Senate and the House. No thanks to you Republicans, since none of you voted for it. So I'm a little disappointed that we don't have that money, but really, I don't know what Pritzker is going to do politically. If Pritzker had raised taxes, the overall rate on taxes, to make good on these obligations to education, he would be getting ripped by Republicans right now, from Carbondale to Waukegan. How about that, D? I did that. I did the whole state. Carbondale in the south, Waukegan in the north. He'd be getting ripped. They'd be pounding him. He's raising the taxes just like we told you. So again, this is kind of a theme of today's show. Republicans are absolutely worthless for anything practical, for anything pragmatic. They feel as though they are free to vote no because they know that eventually the Democrats will do the dirty deed, raise the money they need to fund government, and then they can run against them. A very strange system of government we have. One party is the party of no. So Pritzker's holding off because, I'm not gonna turn myself into a target for you. I'm not raising the taxes. So now he's got this initiative that he signed the bill. He went to Proviso East High School, I think, D, in Maywood.
Wow.
To sign the bill. The bill signing was at Proviso East. And one of the great powerhouses in high school basketball. I know you know that. And he had the bill signing there. And I just had to shake my head because it would have been a lot nicer if on top of that, you could have made that $350 million payment. But we have a crazy system of government right now where one party, half the country really, is saying, nope, we don't feel compelled in any way to meet the basic obligations of government. So good luck, J.B. Pritzker, taking the hit for raising taxes.
Here's Governor Pritzker from yesterday on the bill.
The Education and Workforce Equity Act amplifies our common priorities in delivering high-quality learning from cradle to career, supporting our P-12 schools, making college education more affordable, investing in vocational training, and expanding the teacher workforce. And to do all of that with a heightened focus on the children and the communities who have historically been left with less.
Yeah, I view it sort of as an unfunded mandate right now because they don't have the money to back it up. But again, Pritzker's budget counters, like Lori, bean counters like Lori Lightfoot's at City Hall, are getting ready for that federal money to come in. They'll be singing a different tune, D, when the federal money comes in. They'll see how much it is exactly and how much will cover education expenses. You watch. We'll have a fight in the city council. I'm sure Lori will be putting as much as she can over at the police department. Mayor Lori Lightfoot. So, Yeah, this is an ongoing process. We talked about this when I talked about the budget. A budget address that occurs in January, February, whenever it is, by Governor Pritzker is essentially, and this one was what we called a punt. He was putting off until kicking the can down the road, putting off until later when he had to make hard decisions, and those hard decisions would be based on whether certain contingencies came through. And one of the things they're really expecting is that federal dollars to come in. They're also hoping that the economy picks up a little bit as presumably the pandemic lessens its chokehold. So, yeah, that's the game that's going on, D.
All right, moving on to the news in the city of Chicago. And, we mentioned earlier that you can call the Ben Joravsky Show. It's true. And fortunately for all of you listening, at least one of us here on this team is, caught up with the times. You can email the Ben Joravsky Show as well. It's true. BennyJShow@gmail.com. Jeff, BENNY, the letter J, show @gmail.com. Jeff tried emailing us recently, and he was having a bit of bad luck about it. So just try it one more time, Jim. BENNY, the letter J, show @gmail.com. Ben, we actually received an email over the weekend talking city politics. Isn't that right?
It was an outstanding email, and I remember I was like baffled at the start of the show. What happened to that email? Well, I found it.
All right. Thank God.
And so the email writer has requested anonymity. So I will not read the writer's name other than to say, this is a great email. I want to thank you for writing it. The email writer, let's just call the email writer Billy Bob, so I can have something. Billy Bob,
hey, Billy Bob.
Thank you for writing. I want to thank you for writing this. This is a great email. You'll clearly really follow Chicago politics and know your stuff. And I'll read, it's a long email. I'm just going to read the opening so people get a sense of what Billy Bob has to say. So here we go. Hi, Ben. Hope you're well. My husband and I are millennials, longtime fans of your work, and fellow lefties, not liberals. Yes, not a liberal. I'm a lefty. Friday, I heard your coverage of Mayor Lightfoot criticized by Alderwoman Maria Haddon for going her own way on progressive issues. Yet as a Rogers Park resident who supports groups with the uprising for racial justice and against police misconduct last summer, fresh in my mind is Alderwoman Haddon herself going her own way against progressives last year as one of 4 progressives approving the mayor's austerity budget, including the $1.7 billion police budget. I'd love to hear more covered on that for the context of where any reform from her is going. And then the letter goes on from there to be far more specific. And I will say this, Alderwoman Maria Haddon, like Alderman Andre Vasquez, were 2 of the lefties in the Chicago City Council. I think they ran as Democratic Socialists that voted with the mayor. And I talked to Andre Vasquez about this. I have not talked to Alderwoman Maria Haddon about it. It's funny, I haven't had a conversation with her in a while. I guess I should reach out to her. But Vasquez, his explanation was that he felt that he and Alderwoman Haddon had effectively moved Lori Lightfoot to the left, that she would even be more to the right if it wasn't for them. And the accords that she made, the accommodations, I should say, that she made to appease himself and Maria Haddon were more than enough to warrant that he vote for her. And they didn't want to be known as just the no voters. And this is a funny thing, like the traditional way of portraying the left in the city council. There's like 6 of them, 6 Democratic Socialists. The mainstream media is picking up on this, D. I saw the Tribune ran a big story this weekend. Like they just discovered there's leftists in the city of Chicago. Be concerned about it. But most of them wear ties and look very presentable, so they shouldn't be too frightening. So they had pictures like Jeanette Taylor and Andre Vasquez. I think Maria Haddon was on there. It's like the Tribune introducing leftists to their readers. They're very concerned, Democratic. And Crane's did the same thing. Meet the Democratic Socialists in the city council. It's always funny when the mainstream media discovers the left. And then, like these weird creatures of the left. Oh. Do they have wings? Do they have horns? No, they look normal like the rest of us. Back to you in the studio. Anyway, mainstream media has discovered that we have leftists, and the leftists are generally viewed as the party that just will never, you can't get them to agree to anything. They're just unrealistic, impractical. They're like commies. You know, they always like, they use Carlos Ramirez Rosa like, that's what they're like. Who wants to be like him? And then the other, like the good lefties, like Maria Haddon and Andre Vasquez, you can deal with them. And so, like, you know, so these lefties feel like compelled to like, I can get along. I'm not gonna, you know, I remember when Sue Sadlowski Garza, 10th Ward, who's moved way to the center. We'll be talking about that with Oscar Sanchez, one of the General Iron activists later. But when she was first elected in 2016, I remember 2015, excuse me, Mayor Rahm called her into his office, and he says, I don't want you to make this a circus. She goes, what am I, a clown? Thought that was pretty funny. But this notion, this like stereotype that Chicago has of leftists is kind of funny. And so leftists feel compelled. No, I'm a reasonable human being. I could vote against my interests. So yeah, there's that pressure. And then like all the people who voted for the Andre Vasquez's or the Maria Haddon's or the Jeanette Taylors or the Carlos Ramirez Rosas or the Rosanna Rodriguez Sanchez, all the people who voted for these real leftists because they wanted to be lefties get irritated if a lefty moves to the center. So this is a balancing act. And the reality is that when it comes to police spending, that one issue, the leftists of Chicago are so far outside of the mainstream. They really are. It's just like inconceivable. They're asking for cuts in a police budget. And I've had this conversation with every single one who comes on the show advocating it. Respectful conversations, might add, D. Rosanna, Carlos, all of them. You guys, you realize, of course, that most voters want more police. So they're ahead of the curve, I think. I think they raise a lot of good points. There's things that police are doing that are ridiculous that the cops are doing, like dealing with mental health cases or dealing with domestic crises. So we could, if we had a rational city where people took the time to think things through, you know, talk to all the parties at the table, we could move some of these responsibilities away from the police. But that's not happening anytime soon in the city of Chicago, that's for sure. And one of the complaints that Billy Bob, the letter writer, whose real name is not Billy Bob.
Hey, Billy Bob.
One of the complaints that Billy Bob registered is how ineffectual the city is when it comes to mental health. And this is so true. This is so across the board. I just saw in the paper, I think it was this weekend, D, another police officer committed suicide. You know, why are we not expanding mental health services throughout the city, but it's particularly for police officers? Why this notion that the city has that we don't have to expand, just lip service to it? It's like this weird attitude we have toward mental health. On one hand, every now and then when there's a shooting, the Republicans will say, oh, we need more mental health services. They don't do anything for it. City of Chicago, oh yeah, we need more mental health services. Then we cut it. It's like, it's like you're supposed to be ashamed if you need help. So it's like you're embarrassed about it. It's something you do with, you know, you have your private insurance pay for it. Nobody should know about it. City's not going to commit money. One of the first things Rahm cut were the mental health services. Health department went along with them. Really absurd city that we have here. So yeah, I share the frustration that the left has with where we're at in the city of Chicago. I really do. And I'm always thinking about, how would I vote if I were in the city council? Would I be like Carlos, Rosanna, Jeanette, or would I go the way of, let's say, Maria Haddon or Andre Vasquez? I don't know. First of all, I would never get elected, so it's easy for me to say, but I probably would be a diehard with Carlos.
Yeah, you'd be the guy that's always wearing sneakers. don't know about all that other stuff you're talking. You'd be the guy that, yeah.
Can you imagine me in the city council with sneakers? My Converse All-Stars. Anyway, nice letter. I appreciate that, Billy Bob. I wish you let me use your real name, but I won't.
It's a fantastic email. Thank you very much, Billy Bob, or whatever your name is. Ooh. Thank you, though, for that email. That was like 5 minutes of content. How cool was that, huh? We can
I
read.
could have gone on for another 10 minutes.
We can read your email on the Ben Joravsky Show. BennyJShow@gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J show @gmail.com. You can leave your name or you could be anonymous. Whoa. Oh my God. Also, Jeff, hey man, nice job. You got the email sent to me? Up top, my man. You're awesome. Okay, moving on. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
I won't just turn the car around. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to kick you out, and I'm going to make you walk home.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve, for playing that for me. Do you remember what that's what that's from?
Yeah,
Do you even remember anymore?
Oh, yeah. We've had this conversation about 5 times on the show now. Conversation number 6. It was from younger people from the ages like 18 to 25 who weren't taking the vaccine seriously or something like that. And she was like, you know, listen, I'm a badass. I'll kick you out of this car or whatever.
So weird. And you know what? I got a feeling about 2 weeks. Dennis, where's that from again? And you'd be like, okay,
Number
Pops.
7. All right. It's my coworker, guys. All right. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, just like the governor, the mayor was also at the United Center this morning talking vaccines.
So I'm looking at Dr. Ari. I believe that there are 40,000 people that have signed up so far, and we are assessing what the equity numbers look like before we open it up, and we'll give further details later this week about how it is that people can sign up. And these are dispersed, continuing with city, county, and state. But we are adjusting the numbers based upon what we see in terms of the appointments, what zip codes folks are coming from, and other demographic information. You know, as the acting administrator said, we have to do this in a way that is consistent with equity. And that's critically important. So we are all working together. Our teams are working together on a daily basis and looking at the numbers to make sure that we get that right. I won't just turn the...
Oh, sorry about that.
I was like, what? That was well done. Well done, lady. He's good. He's good. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. And so the show continues. Equity. Equity be if everybody got it. That would be equity. Okay. It's such a joke, D. Those 40,000 people who signed up, they probably all got emails like I did. You know that appointment you made? Well, you're going to have to change it to a new appointment. And then 15 minutes later, please disregard that last email about changing your appointment. I got a feeling someone's just like taking control of their email account, D, is just messing with us. Let's just mess with their minds a little bit. Here you go. Here we go. Change the appointment. Now, here you go. Disregard that last email. Well, what's it supposed to be? I'm not blaming Lori Lightfoot for this one. All right, D. Okay. My friend who got the vaccine, who doesn't live in Chicago, a friend of mine, he goes, do you blame Lori Lightfoot? No. I don't blame Lori Lightfoot for this. Okay? All right. I blame her for the Anjanette Young thing. All right. But not this. Okay, D? Spending the $281 million on the police and then pretending like it's insignificant. I blame her for that, but not this. Right, D? Let's get that straight.
I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think. If you think
No offense, well, fuck you then. Who are you to tell me I'm full of shit?
These buttons are like jammed or something. I don't know what's going on here.
Now, would you two just go to your separate corners?
All right, and finally, play ball, I guess. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times. Oh, and Russell Dorsey. Now to the plate, Russell Dorsey. Mayor Lori Lightfoot announced on Monday that the Chicago Cubs would be allowed to host fans at Wrigley Field at 20% capacity, starting in opening day versus those dirty Pirates. The team will be able to sell 8,274 tickets in pod-style seating arrangements. Oh, doesn't that sound fun? The Cubs had no fans at Wrigley Field during the 2020 regular season, and only a handful of team employees, staff, and families of players during the team's 2-game series against those dirty Marlins in the postseason. Ben, your thoughts? You're pumped, right? Baseball's back. Here we go.
I'm a baseball fan. Not as much of as I am a basketball fan, but I enjoy baseball. Not really feeling the Cubs these days, ladies and gentlemen. Hard for me to jump aboard that Cub bandwagon as long as that team's owned by the Ricketts. And oh, wait, you're going to go, well, wait, Ben, there's like a liberal Rickett. Yeah, I don't buy it, okay? Not buying the liberal Ricketts, lady. The most of the family's giving money to Donald Trump. Just having a hard time with that. Little Cub fans out there, keep politics out of baseball, Ben. Well, it's hard. Okay. So, but I still have the White Sox. Very excited about the White Sox. And there's a picture, D. Look at this, huh? My Chicago Sun-Times.
Good look at that picture.
Yeah, here's the newspaper. A real newspaper, kiddies. Whoa. And it says, fantastic. Hey. Citing city's progress and fight against COVID, Lightfoot gives Sox and Cubs okay to allow limited number of fans at games. And there's a picture of Lori Lightfoot with a Chicago White Sox baseball cap and a White Sox shirt. Clearly, Lori Lightfoot is a White Sox fan, which is interesting because she lives on the north side. So I thought traditionally north siders are supposed to go for the Cubs. Maybe Lori Lightfoot is holding it against the Cubs because of the Ricketts political affiliations. I don't understand this, D. Another mixed message. I'm glad they're doing the baseball. Don't get me wrong. But
here we go. 1, 2, 3 strikes here. Oh. 6 feet.
Folks, if you can see, he was actually singing the song. We should have organ music just every day backing us up, you know. Yeah, me up to the crowd. So help me out here, D. Having trouble with this one. You're you're the science expert on this show.
Oh wow, what? That's bad.
I believe you got a better grade in science than I did, so you're the expert. Okay,
I didn't even make it to like the smart science. I never got to chemistry. I was in like environmental science.
You know what? I know what you're saying about the smart side. That makes me the science expert because I made it.
I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and say we're both idiots, but go ahead and throw me this question.
Let's bring Ken Davis on. Ken Davis is the one guest we have who knows science. He loves talking about it. But help me out. All right, Ken Davis, if you're listening, I need your scientific. Everybody's always like, it's the science. So I'm just going by the science. So explain to me, scientists out there, and I admit, I'm going to start. I barely passed chemistry. I only passed because my chemistry teacher said, God, I'm sick of looking at this guy. I'll give him a D to get him out of this classroom and he can graduate. Explain to me why it's okay to do 8,000 people at Wrigley Field and Sox Park in their little, what do they call it, D? Little cones or what do they call it? Like pods, okay? But you can't do that at the United Center for hockey or basketball. Now, I know what you scientists out there are saying. Ben, there's a difference. One's indoor, one's outdoor. Oh, you scientists are brilliant. Thank you for saying that. But it's like, okay to go to the Red Lobster? That's indoors. It's okay to go to restaurants and bars with limited seating. That's indoors. But we're drawing the line at the United. What is limited seating? How is limited seating at the United Center any dangerous than limited seating at Wrigley Field? You're not near anyone. What difference does it make? You're wearing a mask.
Yeah, but it's as if we just made up all these rules a year ago.
Yes. We're still making them up as we go along. But the part that irritates me, I have to say it, when they make something up that's completely illogical, they feel compelled to say, it's the science. We're going by the science. No, you aren't. You go by the seat of your pants. You don't know what you're doing any more than I do. No, it's the science, Ben. So anyway, I'm really glad that the Cubs and the Sox, I'm looking forward to going to some Sox games. Adolfo, who'll be on the show next week. Come on, let's go to some Sox game. Norm, let's go. Let's go to some Sox game. Come on, Cap. Let's go to some Sox game. Cap's a huge Cubs fan. Miles Porter, let's go to some Sox games.
Or guys, if you don't feel safe, let's keep it at home. It's fine, right?
Everybody will wear masks, but I just don't understand why my beloved Bulls can't have limited seating. Don't understand it, D, but again, I just got a D in chemistry, so it's beyond.
Let's move on because we are not scientists. All right, we do have quotes. All right, first up, it's Chicago Cubs President of Business Operations, Crane Kinney. Crane Kinney says, one of the things that's different from last year to this year, and we use this with MLB as well as the city and state, is now we have some experience with outdoor events. Last year, we were trying to convince the league or the city and state to let us reopen during the season. We didn't have any experience with this, and I think that was somewhat concerning to everyone. So that's what someone who works on a baseball team thinks. Now let's hear from a doctor. Dr. Robert Sintrenberg, an infectious disease specialist affiliated with Advocate Lutheran General Hospital. Here's the quote from this doctor. He says, this plan was many months in the making. Ball game. Sorry, it's got distracted by the song. He said this plan was many months in the making, and it's really has resolved around understanding the science of transmission of this disease. Knowing what we know about how far the virus can travel, where it lands, the effects that masks have on reducing the spread of the virus, we were able to draft a plan that really is completely science-based. I was a little skeptical. That's not a word. Skeptical when the NFL had their season. I didn't even know if they would get through it, but they were very successfully applied the science of transmission to mitigate any chances of large outbreaks, and it was an enormous success. Ticket holders will receive priority access tickets starting next week. The Cubs will also be doing a raffle for available tickets for the general public in their, quote, Wrigley Field pre-sale access program. Oh, you guys are so lucky. Announced on Tuesday. Other amenities like the Wrigley Field rooftops will be open to fans this season. The rooftops fall under the city's bar and restaurant guidelines. They'll be able to operate at 50% capacity. The rooftops were open to select fans last season.
Yeah.
So, Ben, play ball. Am I right?
Yeah. Still don't get it. And by the way, the guy from Advocate, that's my health provider. Where's my vaccine? Oh, he's got plenty of time to talk about the Cubs games and White Sox games. Where's my vaccine, Doc, huh? Sorry, D. A little editorial aside there. I apologize.
There you are, everybody. That's our local news. Remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more. Over 900 episodes, guys. Damn near 1,000. We're getting there. At chicagoreader.com and wherever else you download podcasts. Over the weekend, we had some Benny J bonus interviews. You should check them out. Had a great one with Mick Dumke as well. So go check it out, chicagoreader.com or wherever else you download podcasts. If you listen on the download, join us live sometime. Tuesdays through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time at the Chicago Reader YouTube channel. And, if you're feeling frisky, join the live stream chat. Hang out with Kyle. Hang out with Frank, Jim, Pat Rod, Doogie, Jeff, Ricky Tricky. Got a guy named Ricky Tricky on there. Join all those people on the live stream chat. It's at the Chicago Reader YouTube channel, Tuesdays through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time. All right, we're taking a break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking all things General Iron with Oscar Sanchez. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. We are live from my apartment in his attic. Don't go anywhere.
The enemy is you.
So I'm looking now at Dr. Aria.
I want an answer. I want an answer. I want an answer.
The Education and Workforce Equity Act amplifies our common priorities in delivering high-quality learning from cradle to career. The enemy is you.
All right, hour number 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show for Tuesday, March 9th is brought to you by SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, the Chicago Federation of Labor, and the Chicago Reader. Benny J, take it away.
One of the most compelling stories, in my opinion, over the last month or two, it seems, that's burst in the front pages of Chicago's newspapers is the story of the activist battling the proposal by the city to move a shredder from the north side of Chicago to the southeast side of Chicago, the General Iron operation. It's a fascinating story on many fronts. And I wanted to, before I bring on Oscar Sanchez, my guest, I just want to give a shout out to Brett Chase and Michael Hawthorne, who've been covering this for the Sun-Times and the Tribune. And I spent the better part of the weekend, Oscar Sanchez, reading up on this. These guys, these two reporters, just give a shout out to my brothers in the press, have done a very good job, in my humble opinion, of following this. I know they must be under a lot of pressure because this story goes after the powers that be in the city of Chicago. This story gets at how decisions are made in the city of Chicago, what protects economic interests, what protects one neighborhood over another neighborhood. It's a fascinating story about how Chicago works in the 21st century, how it works for some people and doesn't work for other people as well. So that's my way of introducing this topic. Brett Chase will be coming on the show next week, Sun-Times reporter, to talk about some of his findings. I've got the fever on the General Iron story. So first, let me, having said all that, let me now introduce Oscar Sanchez, activist extraordinaire from the Southeast Side. Oscar, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And I had a conversation with Oscar this weekend. Oscar was one of the hunger strikers. The hunger strike is over, so you're eating now, correct, Oscar?
Yeah, I'm currently eating. I missed eating so much.
Well, we'll talk about that. There's so much to lay out with this story. So, folks, I was thinking about this, Oscar. I was writing notes. There's a lawsuit. There's a federal investigation by HUD. There's a fight, a battle between the family that owns General Iron. People are fighting among themselves. There's what Rahm Emanuel did back in 2018 on this, what Lori Lightfoot is doing now. There's the position of Alderwoman Sue Sadlowski-Garza, your Alderwoman on the Southeast Side. Oscar, this story is really complicated. And very multi-layered. So let's just start with some basic introduction. Why is this story so important to you? Talk about the neighborhood that you live in and the impact the shredder would be on your neighborhood. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. This is important to me and I'll always emphasize this idea because folks don't get it. People will never understand this that don't have to go through oppression. Is that when Black and Brown communities organize, we organize for our survival. That's what we have, lives at stake when it comes to this. We've been having lives at stake since the steel industry was in our communities. So when it comes to this company moving into our area, we're thinking about all the youth. We're thinking about all the people affected by this, literally in a mile radius of their presence. We're thinking about particulate matter. We're thinking all the contaminants in the air. We're thinking about the current 70 operations that are currently in the Southeast side. So we think about the 30-year life expectancy difference between the North side and the South side. So all these things come to mind, and we think, we cannot allow this to continue happening. We cannot allow these industries to be able to move to areas that are zoned, for these kind of operations, but they're killing us at the end of the day. And it's the interesting part where we talk about decision makers. We have our representation. We have our representatives when it comes to our older women, the mayor, and they hold these town hall meetings, and community members are saying, deny the permit. We don't want this here. And then you see how far they've gone. They've gotten 2 out of the 3 permits already. And you ask yourself, if everybody's saying this, if all the community members are saying this, then who are they listening to? Who's Mayor Lori Lightfoot listening to? And we talk about the direct exchange all the time. We don't have a direct line to Lori Lightfoot, but all the CEOs and everybody who's in support of her, endorsing her, all the $60 billion companies, not billion, 60 enterprises and companies that endorsed her publicly on a newspaper. At the end of the day, that's who those are the constituents that she prioritizes. She doesn't prioritize us.
All right. Why don't you give people a sense of who the us is in that sentence? The southeast side of Chicago is that portion of Chicago that goes under Lake Michigan and meets the state of Indiana. You pass it, folks, on your way out of Chicago when you're heading out of Chicago. If you're going to Indiana, you're going to Michigan, what have you, going east. Oscar, how long have you lived there? Talk a little bit about the community that you grew up in and sort of its makeup. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So my community is, I'm biased. My community is a beautiful community. I love it. You have some days, right? Some days it just smells terrible over here, but then you have your really good days, right? You have your days in the summer, the weather's really nice out here. So, bike riding this morning was a thing with my father and my brother. But, it's a community of folks wanting to have a better life, folks that, we feel on the outskirts of Chicago. It really does feel, right? I remember I brought one of my friends out here, Shabaka, and he sees the cornfields. He sees some of the cornfields. It's just it's next to the forest line. It's nothing special, honestly. And he sees, he's like, you're bringing me out to the cornfields. He's like, I'm Black. You remember I'm Black, right? Like, I don't feel comfortable over here. And it's just a different atmosphere here in the community. So I live in Hegewisch. My father lived here many years. He's lived here in this house for I want to say like maybe 30 to 40 years already. And I've lived in this house, after moving so much, I've lived here for maybe like 15, 16 years already. And I'm 23, but we've always moved around so much. Lived in South Chicago, lived in Roseland and Pullman and Calumet City, a little bit in Whiting. So all this, and I've always been surrounded by industry and other folks too. Like, they move around to get more affordable living situation. And we do it for that. But you look at the neighborhood, you look at people wanting to survive, you look at people breathing, like, it's normalized. Contamination, if you ask anybody 5 years ago, 10 years ago, nobody would think about contamination. Mm-hmm. People literally would go hang out at Superfund sites. Coal Hills, that's a hangout spot. Anybody who knows Coal Hills, letting you know, it's a really dangerous part that you shouldn't be hanging out at, but it's normal. It's behind a library. Our baseball fields have been contaminated, but it's normal, right? We've been playing there for years. My older brothers, my younger brothers are playing baseball there. It's low income, but all these things that I'm mentioning now is just reflecting, comparing the stories of my other friends. But again, it's a really beautiful community. It's a community of workers. It's a community of working class and low income folks wanting to strive. And, we have our cherished things. Sundays we go to Calumet Fisheries, get some fish, or we go get some tamales from La Cienega or get some chicken. We got Heine's chicken, Gina's chicken. We love chicken. We love fish. We love all that. Man, I'm just thinking like, and then soccer days, people go play soccer and baseball at Calumet Park. We have our stuff. We have our things that keep us going, you know.
By the way, Oscar, I must make this confession. I have never lived on the southeast side in my life, but I love chicken too. All right, now I just had to get that out there. How my love for chicken. There's an attitude of prejudice that folks on the north side have, Oscar. I'm just going to share it with you. So if I ever raise this subject, a certain type of north sider, and it's a private conversation, so they don't think I'm going to be mentioning their names, but they'll be like, Ben, what do you care? That's like where the dumps go, the southeast side. That's where you stick this stuff. That's just how this city is. That's just the way it is in the city of Chicago. And that is an attitude, Oscar Sanchez, that I think a lot of people have in Chicago. They don't articulate it maybe. Do you follow what I'm saying? But it's kind of implied in the policies that the city implements that just essentially underscore that point of view. What's your response to people who say, what the hell, just stick it there? Because dumps have always been there. Landfills have always been there. The steel mills, the abandoned steel mill sites, they've always been there. Go ahead, Oscar. What's your response?
So when folks say it's always been the way it is, right? Why change it? I ask them, okay, so were you in support of Jim Crow? Were you in support of redlining? Were you in support of all these things that they were the way they were? Are you going to be the one saying this should be changed? You're upholding racism. You're upholding individuals dying at higher rates. So I think people unconsciously just say these things, but they're upholding racism. And again, I always tell folks about the example of Jim Crow. I'm like, and then I let them sit on it. I let them think about it. And people don't know what to say. Because exactly the same way that you don't understand is because you're not living in these circumstances. You have privilege. You come from wealth. You are not Black. You are not brown. You do not have to suffer. And when you can go home after a protest, being an ally, saying, I can go home now. We don't have to, we come back home to smug, to slag. We come home to smoky skies and pollution. So when people say that, I'm like, damn, that's how a privilege sounds like.
Yeah, most of the people, by the way, who say that are not, I'm going to just emphasize this point, not allies. They don't even pretend to be allies. They're not the people, they're not, these people aren't allies. I'm going to just make that point clear, Oscar.
Yeah. But even taking that step back, right? Our community folks have said it too, right? They'll say, well, we have been a place of industry for years. We continue to we should uphold this. We should keep wanting these jobs. And then we ask them, okay, well, the more years you've lived, because you're an old, you've been here for a long time. You're like, well, have you seen asthma rates increase? Have you seen more of your friends that you're working with the factories? Are they still alive or are they dead? Oh, what about you? What about your respiratory issues? Do you have respiratory issues? And they'll answer and they'll like, I have issues, or they have issues, or I have cancer. And the people, it's about making people understand we deserve better kind of industries. And people will never understand that. We push about wanting jobs, but just because we have a job doesn't mean that we're going to be living a good life. And there's studies that have proven that when you have all these industries, you're working for a job, you're making your money, and then you end up having these health issues. You end up spending money on hospital bills because these paying jobs are not going to give you good insurance. You end up having to pay for your inhalers, for your tests, your scans. When it comes to cancer, who's going to be paying that out of pocket? At the end of the day, you're going to be, at the end of your life, suffering in debt and with no health. So I say the same folks in our community, what do you want for yourself? And even to take themselves out of their own, what do you want your children to have? Do you want them to have the same jobs? I'm not talking bad about those jobs. I'm saying, do you want them, you suffered and you sacrificed your body and your health and everything for your children. Do you want them to do the same sacrifices for their children?
All right, let me back off a little bit and give a little background about what's at stake here. For many years, as I said, General Iron operated a shredding facility on the north side of Chicago. Folks who are listening are not from Chicago, in an area that is just on the banks of the Chicago River, just west of the Lincoln Park neighborhood. back in the 50s and the 60s, that section of town, Oscar, this is way before you were born, was working class. Not that much unlike southeast side of Chicago in terms of its demographic makeup, Black people, Hispanic people, working class white people, et cetera, and so forth. And what has happened over the last 60 years has been gentrification. And working class people moved out, the prices has gone way up, and more professional, wealthier classes moved in, and they immediately began to object to General Iron and this shredding facility that they have, where cars would be ground up all hours of the night. Trucks would be going in and out, coming in. And meanwhile, developers were flocking to that area because there was so much money to be made by buying up the industrial land and transforming it. There's a huge project earmarked for the area called Lincoln Yards, which your taxes, even in the south side of Chicago, Oscar, your taxes are going to that. They don't tell you that, but they are going to that. So it was inconvenient for the city to allow this General Irons facility to be in the midst of all this economic development. And so what they did was the city allowed for the the business to be sold from the General Irons family that owned it to this company in Ohio named RMG. And they are building a facility on the southeast side to move the operation, thus freeing up the north side area for more development. So the north side gets the development and the south side gets the facility. What the city says, Oscar, is don't listen to Oscar. Don't listen to Chuck Stark. Don't listen to all those other troublemakers on the southeast side. This is a well-run, state-of-the-art, modern facility that will not pollute, not have any, it's like the Garden of Eden almost, actually, when I think about it. So what's your response to the city's attempt to reassure folks that this will be a state of, even if it wasn't good enough for the north side, it'll be good enough for the south side? Go ahead, Oscar.
Well, to start, I think about the money talks, right? So let's look at, they want to give $1.3 billion in subsidies to this project, right? And I think people have the nerve, and I'm not saying anything disrespectful, but they're like, what do you vision for your community? Give us $1.3 billion in subsidies, and I'll tell you all our dreams. I'll tell you what we want. I'll tell you the studios, the sports complexes we want. We want to build up our community, right? Even then, let's talk about more TIF funding, right? Whoever, if you're from Chicago or going to visit Chicago, go to the Chicago Riverwalk. All that was built on the money of TIF funding that was supposed to go to Black and brown communities to develop our places. We look around, we have abandoned schools. Rom closed down many schools, but oh wow, we have a really nice Riverwalk. Right? We have hospitals closing down in the South Side because we're not making margins, right? Because profit over people is such a thing. Oh, but we have a nice Riverwalk. Oh, we have Lincoln Yards. We have all these developments. And that's my response, saying profit over people. They are doing profit over people any day, and not just any people, Black and brown communities. Where? In low-income areas. Where? Southeast side, southwest side. Some areas in the north side that if they can't use it, they're going to gentrify it and change it so they can have their new developments and bring in more revenue. And that's where we start looking at things. They think about building the area, building infrastructure, building investments, but they don't talk about building people. They don't talk about building wealth for people. They talk about building wealth for the city. So my response is saying, state of the art to who, to what grade, to what? You want to talk about, oh, this is state of the art. Are you talking about following guidelines by the Trump administration? Because, oh, great, we definitely want to trust that person. And that's the thing that's really wrong. We talk all the time. We need progressive change. We need democratic change. The Democrats are going to advocate for environmental justice. But when you have Democrats not changing the policy that the Trump administration introduced, and they're working on that standard, then they are just as wrong. So again, standards of who? You want to build environmental justice-based policy and based on Trump's administration? Then great. I don't trust you either.
I had the feeling that this deal is one of a classic done deal, Chicago done deals. Once the Lori Lightfoot administration essentially signed on, the final approval, final permit has not been delivered, I should say. That's still up in the air. But in 2019, they essentially signed on to having an operation on the southeast side. And then I put this in the story I just wrote. It's like out of nowhere, it seemed like opposition emerged, and very effective opposition. I have to take my hat off to you guys because it's kind of stopped sort of the momentum of this process. It's sort of stopped this notion that it's a done deal. You know, Chicago's got that attitude, Oscar. Oh, it's a done deal. Oh, you can't fight it, Ben. So why are you even going to try? But I've got the feeling that the activists on the Southeast side have like at the very least put sand in front of the cars, so it's harder for the progress to be made in just completing this. Talk a little bit about the organizing efforts that led to the hunger strike. And that, I think it was that hunger strike, Oscar, that really brought this notion to people's minds that there's a serious issue here. Go ahead, talk about the organizing that took place on the Southeast side.
So, I mean, we have to look back at years, right? We have to look at the people that started the Southeast Environmental Task Force. But I have to say, you know, we have amazing leaders like Peggy Salazar, Olga Bautista, Gina Ramirez, and, you know, they've been doing this work for years. So it's accumulation of their knowledge and expertise. But this started, you know, for me personally, you know, I talked to Peggy Salazar. I'm like, Peggy, how can I help? What is it going on right now? What can we do? And they're like, oh, well, you know, we don't know right now, right? We're figuring things out. And the thing that people don't understand is that we have multiple things going on. We have multiple contaminants that we're fighting. We have multiple permits and licensing. We have different initiatives. Like, we have all this and General Iron. Like, it's not just one fight. So we and Peggy talked, and we talked about, well, Oscar, we just need more people power. And I said, well, I got you. And they're like, what do you recommend? I'm like, talk to youth. Youth, we always talk about having youth be the future leaders. Youth are the leaders now. So let's get them involved. So what do we do? I'm like, what do you got? What do we do? Can we do a workshop with youth? Oh, we have air monitors. We can test, you know, get them involved in that. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go and do. I know the high school teachers. Let's go pitch them doing a curriculum based on air monitoring training, have them like test the air, pitch it to the school. When we pitched it in the school, there's 3 indicators. There's red, yellow, and green. Red means get out of there. You're in a hazardous area. Yellow means you can be there, but not too many hours. And green is like, y'all, you're clean. When we pitched it, the teachers wanted to see what was going on. And when we demonstrated it, it was already showing yellow. And they said, can you test another one? Yeah, test another one, yellow. When are these maintenance? We maintenance them all the time. So we were in the courtyard in a green space in the school, and it was reading yellow without having General Iron there, right? And afterwards, we took a step back and we were like, Peggy, let's just talk here and there. Let's see what we can do next. What is next? And then it became 2020, and our minds were, we need to take care of the needs of the community. We started the mutual aid. We started the Southeast Response Collective. And this is organizations from all the Southeast side just wanting to help out community members. And it's the sad part. We were talking about COVID, and then you have families talking about the respiratory issues. They're like, I'm dealing with this. I'm scared. Who's going to take care of my children? You know, Laura Lightfoot doesn't have to hear about these things. People don't hear about these every day. I'm 23 years old and having to hear parents cry about their children. And people talk about, oh, what are the physical aspects? There's mental breakdowns we have, because how do you tell a crying mother that things are going to be okay? Fast forward, we're taking care of our folks. We're maintaining food pantries. We're opening mutual aids to give money to families in need. A lot of folks are doing the work. And then, you know, the murder of George Floyd happens. And then all the Southeast side comes together, and we're like, we need to make sure that, you know, we protect our communities in response to making sure our Black folks are really protected and they feel heard. We start doing protests and marches. Fast forward, we're like, we need to address racism. We address racism through teach-ins. Then we talk to Peggy like, hey, this polluter's coming in. Our alderwoman's not saying anything. UN 10, United Neighbors of 10th Ward, say we need to go to her house and keep her accountable and speak against General Iron. So then all the other organizations come with that organization, and we show up to the alderwoman's house. And from there, we say every week we need to pressure some way. So we did protests and organizations for BLM, moved around to environmental racism, and then from there we start building. We start organizing community members, over 200 individuals, to 10 town hall meetings saying deny the permit. We had teach-ins and marches and everything just surrounding this idea that we need to protect Black and Brown communities. And in the final session, the final town hall meeting, we had over 500 community members crying, begging, giving their cases, giving statistics, saying deny the permits. And then that's when the city, in the late December, they sent a deficiency letter saying, you know, we need more information from General Iron, right? This application doesn't satisfy us. This 250-page application. And so we talk about things going behind the scenes. In 2 weeks, in the final week of our public commentary, the city says, we're going to give you an additional 2 weeks because General Iron has just submitted an application. The original one, as I mentioned, was 250 pages. Now it became 1,153 pages of technical terms and jargon that we don't understand. So we have to get our lawyers and engineers on that. And they want us to respond to that new application in 2 weeks. And we thought, we've escalated things with the alderwoman. We've escalated things with the mayor. What is it going to take for us to truly get the attention that we need for this case? And we looked at I always say Chicago's an organizing. I'm like, shout out to all these badass organizers that create all this change in Chicago, like just so much change. And that's how we keep going. So we looked at the models beforehand, 2001, Little Village Hunger Strike, 2015, Diet High School. We spoke to Jeanette Taylor, their insight. And, you know, we all decided collectively, let's do a hunger strike. We put our lives in the line. And we decided, and I keep advertising this, 30-year life expectancy difference. If my life can prevent that from getting any further, we're going to do it, because either way, we're going to die. Like that's the difference that people don't see. Our community members are dying regardless at 1/3 the lifespan of other folks. And that's ridiculous to even fathom. So we said, let's do this. And, you know, alongside Chuck, Brianna, when we first started, and then Yesenia and Jay joining, and everybody else who joined after us, and the 100-day hunger strikers, we got international press. And the biggest thing is that folks say, like, what do you think you got out of this? And as I mentioned together with Peggy Salazar, I said, we're our youth. Our youth are our leaders now because they feel inspired. Ben, I know you know the Southeast side, but many folks don't know the Southeast side. They don't know what the East Side is. They don't know what South Daring is. They don't know what South Chicago is. They don't know any of these locations or our homes. But with this hunger strike, we've created allies and people to know where we are. And our youth see us on the front page, and it's us on the front page, the Southeast Side on the front page. So all this accumulation that we've done has built up the inspiration that these youth have, and they're manifesting, becoming the leaders that we need now. So we have recognition of all these badass organizers that we had in the past, and you have a lot of these young folks just taking charge as they should.
So talk a little bit about hunger strike. And I'm going to make a confession here, Oscar, and please don't make fun of me for my confession, but I can't really go like 4 hours without eating. I love food. And so like the dedication and the discipline that it requires to go on a hunger strike, it just blows my mind. Like I'm already thinking of, as I'm talking to you, what I'm going to eat when I'm done with this interview.
Man, you and me both. Look, I'm known for three things, mainly the first two. I'm always known for eating, always known for napping, and always known for talking. If I'm not doing one of those, I don't know what I'm doing.
So that's like my life, Oscar. The big three. Anyway, continue. Go ahead.
So look, I'm known for those things. So when people were asking me, Oscar, out of everyone, how are you going to do this? Right? You are 6'3". You're huge. I mean, you can't see me on, you can see me on camera. Like, you're huge. Like, how are you going to stop eating? You're always talking, like, and I'm also known for the spots. I know the best places to eat in Chicago. So I know food. I love food. My dad's been a chef every day. So my dad even, I'm going to say this right now. My dad, he knows I love mac and cheese. Every other day he make mac and cheese, and he make an extra amount. He's like, just in case, you know, if you get hungry and it's going to be outside at night, so nobody's going to see if you eat some, right? And my mom too. There's an expression in Spanish. I'll say it in English. She'll say it rhymes in Spanish, but she says 1 is nothing, and 2 is half of 1, and that also means nothing. So if you want 2 pieces of chicken, my son, go at it. I won't say anything. So, but the thing is, right, my mom has high blood pressure. My mom had me, you know, the first 10 days were pretty decent, right? You know, go through it, take everything I'm allowed to take, but you get tired. Like, I'm a high energy person. I was tired. You would hit walls. You had different spikes in energy. And then you felt that hunger. You felt your stomach like, damn, you feel it getting smaller. And then you're thinking, am I going to be able to eat after this? Because it's something the medics even talked about. And then it got worse. And then my mom started getting worried. She's like, you're losing weight fast. And she's like, and every night she'd be like, hey, can you come over and can you sleep with us? Like, I'm worried. And I'm like, all right, I'm coming. She's like, can you like just lay down? And I'm like, yeah, I'll lay down. And you see it, like, it's not something that just affects yourself. It's a lot of health impacts. Man, I swear to you, I got scared one day. I had my dad try to check on my car. I'm like, yo, Dad, let's shovel out the car. Let's see if we can fix it real quick. And I said, no, let's do it tomorrow, right? Next day comes. I'm like, hey, Dad, can we fix the car? He's like, what are you talking about? Yesterday, after you talked to me, I decided to go, got your brother, took the car out, fixed it, right? I came back and told you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And all my family was there. They're like, what are you talking about, Oscar? Dad, like, all of us were in front of you telling him he fixed it. And I'm like, and he said, great job. And you can't look forward to driving it. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And then I literally wouldn't be able to remember things. It was so, man, I was dropping sweat. I was scared.
Wait, so hold on. Your dad fixed your car, but because like you were losing control of your memory, you had no memory of that. Exactly. You're so hungry.
Yeah. Wow. This is around the later days in day 20s. The day 20s were terrible.
How many days did you go without food?
30 days.
And but I assume you drank water during those.
So we were drinking water. We're also allowed to drink like juices, like straight juices, like actually like, you know, from the fruits, nothing preserved, because all those preservatives are gonna mess you up. And also we took like fruit smoothies, they're like protein supplements and bone broth, but that's the minimized, like that's what we can take during a pandemic. Because if we were doing a full hunger strike in a pandemic, we would be dead. Like that, it was such a starvation. We also, all of us, the beginning ones, we did a 1 day water only. Yo. I'm not gonna lie to you, Ben. I'm not gonna lie to you. At some points in the hunger strike, I would tell my brother, I'm like, hey, yo, can I smell your food? And my brother would look at me. He's like, he grabbed the plate away. He's like, don't smell my food. He's like, I don't need your crusty lips next to my food.
Oh my God. Is that a younger brother or an older brother?
Those are all younger brothers.
Man, that is so cold. His lips aren't crusty. So I could just imagine dinner time at the Sanchez house, but when they're not on a hunger strike, fighting over that macaroni and cheese.
No,
throwing elbows to get at it.
No, we don't have to fight over food. My dad always makes plenty. And all these times, my dad would joke. He was telling he's cooking. He's like, yo, you still on the hunger strike? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, because now I can make less because I know you take up like half.
Trash talking Sanchez family. So 30 days, man. Wow. And so why did you why did the activists decide to end the hunger strike?
Our health. You know, collectively, it was a really hard decision. We were on a Zoom call. We were always on Zoom calls, like organizing. Shout out to Zoom, but Zoom, you should definitely make your Zoom subscription free to organizers and people in need. Definitely. We got to put it out there. Shout out to Google for doing that with Google Meets. But the point is, we were meeting, right? And you could see the despair, the sadness we had, right? We were saying, like, we want to keep going. We want to keep going, but our health, like, you know, some of the hunger strikers that were in the longer, I'm not going to say who, but they were close to passing out some days. Some of them like feared waking up and not waking up, like going to sleep and not waking up. A lot of like, you can feel the difference. I challenge anybody, if you want to know how it feels, like literally try not eating for 1 day. Like literally, well, and a lot of folks did the 1 day hunger strikes. And after they did the solidarity hunger strikes, they said, how do you do it? And at the end of the day, we said, like, if we don't do this, who else is going to do it for us? You know, we're getting our message amplified and people are joining this and you're adding to our collective power. But if we don't do this, who's going to be speaking for us? Autumn Garza's not speaking for us. The mayor's not speaking for us. Dr. Awadi's not speaking for us. So it was rough. And we knew what it meant for us to end the hunger strike. And we said, we need to just replenish our health because it was getting extreme. Even the medics were saying, we didn't expect for you to go to this long. We thought Lori would have responded by now. Like, your health is in critical condition right now. Like, if we're gonna move forward, we all need to do it. We need to do a check-in right now. We're going through the progress and getting everybody's yo, we need to get your vitals in. We need to get you in. We need to communicate. We need to know how everybody's feeling. And then when we started refeeding, we found out a lot of the symptoms people had, they're just it's terrible. And it's not just a toll on us, it's toll on family members. We had one hunger striker, she was a mother, and her child would just say, Mom, I want you to eat. I'm begging her to eat. I mean, I come from a Latin American household, and watching my mom beg me to eat, you don't have your mom beg you to eat. That's disrespect in my culture, right? So it was just different. And I didn't visit my grandma for 30 days because I know she'd want me to eat.
Yeah. So when you finally broke the strike, what did you eat?
What did I eat? My dad loves me a lot. I'm going to say that right now. My dad loves me a lot. So he made the day of, he's like, looked me in the eye. He's like, are you ending the hunger strike? I'm like, yes. He's like, you're not lying to me? Like, you're going to break this for real? I'm like, yeah. He's all right. I'm going to make you shrimp soup. I'm like, shrimp soup? He's like, yeah, I know you love it. It's this nice, good shrimp, fish broth. Very good. It's very it has a spice with this nice tangy taste to it. You have cabbage, zucchini, and carrots to it. I don't like vegetables, but I was eating that. I was like, this is good. And then you had shrimp, and I'm like, I was scared to eat the shrimp. I'm like, yo, this is meat. I'm like, I popped that sucker, and I was like, this is good. I waited 5 minutes for it to go down. I'm like, all right. And I just ate another 10 of those. Ate 10 of those, ate 3 bowls of that soup, and I was just I felt wow, I was like, damn, I'm back.
Well, I got to tell you, I've never been so hungry at the end of an interview, Oscar, as this interview. My hat's off to you guys. It's a strong stand. It forced the city to pay attention to this issue, this disparity. The hunger strike's off, but there's, like I said, there's a lawsuit charging racial discrimination. There is a complaint about racial discrimination that HUD is investigating, so the federal government is involved. The city of Chicago has delayed approving the final permit that the shredder folks need to operate.
Yeah.
And there's a political fallout to this in Chicago. Chicago, I don't know if they're serious about it. There's going to have to come face to face with the fact that they are moving this shredder from the north side to the south side to free up land for development on the north side that's being subsidized by $1.3 billion. So it's so obvious, the disparity between investment in the city. And we wonder why neighborhoods are emptying out Chicago. I mean, population follows investment, Oscar. I'm sorry, I'm going on this riff here.
No, you're right. You're obviously right. I mean, people don't understand at the end of the day, and this was done in record time. It was zoomed through, right? It was we have to understand, it's hard to even start this, but when you have everybody collaborating together and it's done in record time, you're like, all right, this is suspect, right? We talk about things that just don't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And at the end of the day, we talk about people in need and having COVID relief. And we talk about during the pandemic, out of all the time, and I hate this rat. That's a rat. For anybody wondering, that's a rat. But I don't, Chihuahuas are considered rats. I'm going to say that. But the point is, we are doing this in record time, and this is a pandemic where people are dying to respiratory issues, and people with respiratory issues are at the highest risk. And we're doing this, right? Not we, but the city is doing this. And you ask yourself, are they even paying attention? Are they even recognizing their flaws and their wrongs? Are they recognizing the privilege they have to say it's going to be safe and not even talking about how polluted the area already is? And the IPA is failing us, saying they won't take into consideration past violations from these companies. When we talk about government involvement and looking for representation, if you're ignoring the calls from those desperately in need of you most, are you truly doing your job?
Oscar, before I let you go, if people want to get more information or reach out to you activists, is there a site they can go to? Give that info out.
Yeah, definitely. So if folks want to keep knowing what we're doing, I recommend following us at Chai Hunger Strike on Instagram and on Twitter. And, you can also, if you'd like, you can donate to our GoFundMe. But just we're not hunger striking anymore, but you can check out what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, we're still going to keep fighting. Like at the end of the day, we say la lucha sigue, ¿verdad? So we say the fight keeps going. And that's what I want folks to, and I want to end with this note saying we have this going on and we have other fights going on, but we understand the importance we have for fighting for our youth, for our ancestors, because our ancestors died literally being exploited, and we have our community currently being exploited, our land being exploited, not having the necessary developments, but we keep going because we deserve better. And all right,
very good. Thanks so much, Oscar, for coming on, and we'll be following this story for certain, both on the podcast and in the reader. Stay safe and sound. Thanks again, Oscar.
Appreciate you.
All right, that's great, Oscar Sanchez. What you got for me, D?
Oh, we got not much going on here today. By the way, that interview brought to you by Red Lobster and their new shrimp soup.
He was talking about that hunger strike, and I was feeling it because I could tell the man loved to eat. But I don't know if you heard, D, like the 3 things he loves. It's like, that's like my baby brother. He loves eating, napping, and talking. D, that's like that. I'm out. Like that's like almost halfway to the decathlon of what I'm good at. The eating. I'm really good at eating. Talking. Come on now. And napping.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, really. Oscar Sanchez, I like him a lot. And come on, City of Chicago, do the right thing.
You may have found your soulmate, Ben. Once this pandemic's over, hit up Oscar.
I'm going down there. I'm having some of this dad's macaroni and cheese. That we know that, okay? Oscar, put another plate out there, all right? I'm on my way.
All right, real quick, everybody. We talk about it at the beginning of our program, so let's talk about it at the end. A bin head. Are you a bin head? That's what we call avid listeners of this program, a bin head. You can become a bin head. Go to chicagoreader.com/Jarofsky to find out more information. Right now, I am actually at chicagoreader.com/Jarofsky, and I'll tell you what I see here, and you guys can do this, all right? So we have 3 tiers of bin heads, all right, on this program. All right, so you can either become a bin head at the Alley. You can get an Alley membership. That's right. You'll be subscribed to the Chicago Reader newsletter, and you will be an Alley member for just $5 a month or $60 a year. All right. So Ben's always talking about the Alley. You can join the Alley. Ben, by the way, can we get a porta potty update there in that back alley?
Hold on one second. Hey, get out! I think he's eating some macaroni and cheese in that porta potty.
That's disgusting.
Sorry.
Become an Alley member, $5 a month or $60 a year. Or we have the Avenue. Yes, the Avenue subscription. Become a bin head at the Avenue level, and you will be subscribed to the Chicago Reader newsletter, and you'll get a $10 discount on the brand new Ben Jarofsky book, his greatest hits, covering 40 years. Guys, I'm 37 years old, covering 40 years of Ben Jarofsky columns at the Chicago Reader. That's $10 a month or $120 a year, the Avenue level. And we have a 3rd tier. Oh, you are one hell of a bin head if you sign up for this one. Become a Boulevard member. At the Boulevard level, you will be subscribed to the new newsletter. You will get a copy of Ben's new book. That's right. You're getting the book. And you can join at $20 a month or $240 a year. So that's a way you can help out the Ben Jarofsky Show. We've been doing this show over 2 years as a podcast. And if you want to help out, throw some money over to the program, well, that's a way you can do it. The Alley Club, the Avenue Club, or the Boulevard. Become a bin head and get that new book from Ben Jarofsky, his greatest hits.
Yes, thank you, D. That was well done. And urge everybody, come on now. I always like to say, it's kind of a little joke. Gotta feed Dennis. The kid eats. He just went to Red Lobster, okay? Gotta feed this guy. God damn. But appreciate any support you guys get. It's a desperate time in the media business, particularly if you're a lefty media guy. I'm just saying, there's not a lot of love We just denounced pretty much every power that be in the city of Chicago. We're not going to have a lot of friends from the powerful set. That is for certain. I want to thank Oscar Sanchez for doing an outstanding job making his show debut. I think we're going to definitely bring Oscar Sanchez back. Speaks from his heart. I want to thank him for coming on the show. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, without whom this show would be possible, is Oscar Sanchez. We'll tell you. Back home in Alton, they call him White Lightning. Give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
The enemy is you.
That is correct. That is correct.
The enemy.
That is correct. That is correct.
I want an answer. I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think.
That is correct. That is correct.